If you weren't previously aware, almost every single device that you can get these days has built-in parental controls. Android devices are no different. They have built-in parental controls, and there's an app that you can download on your own phone, even if you have an iPhone or an Android device, that you can manage all of your child's Chrome or Android devices. And that app is called Google Family Link. Today we're going to talk all about how to use Google Family Link, what it can control, and how to get it set up. Let's dig right in. So first, what can you use Google Family Link to control? Well, obviously you can use it to control Android devices. So if your child has an Android phone or tablet, you can use Google Family Link to manage that device. What people might not be aware of, it can also help you manage Chrome, the browser, and it can help you manage Chromebooks. Now there is a caveat here. A Chromebook sometimes may be issued by a school. And if that's the case, they may not be able to be used by any other accounts but their school-issued account. Now, with their school-issued account, you cannot control it with Google Family Link. The school is the only one that has control of that device. So you would have to manage their time and usage on that Chromebook through something like your Wi-Fi router or other means. The last thing that Google Family Link can actually help you manage is also YouTube. So if your child wants to browse through YouTube, you can manage their access and everything through Google Family Link. Now, the one problem with using Google Family Link to manage a Chrome browser or YouTube is that the child has to stay logged into the account that is managed. So they could easily switch, especially if they're in a Chrome browser, they can switch to incognito mode or guest mode, or if they're in YouTube, they can just sign out of that account and sign in with a different account or just browse through YouTube without an account. So while you can manage it through there, it's sometimes a little difficult to stop them from going around the controls that you have set because they're easily able to log out or change users. So what can Google Family Link not control? Well, I hope it's a little obvious, but I do get this question quite a bit. Google Family Link cannot control an iPhone. It also cannot control a Windows device or the Nintendo Switch or anything else. It can only manage the things I've already mentioned: Android phones and tablets and Chromebooks, and then YouTube and the Chrome browser. So those are the only things that the Google Family Link can manage. It cannot manage an iPhone or a Switch or a Windows computer or an Apple computer or anything like that. So one thing to be aware of is about Google Family Link accounts. So there are two types of accounts that can be associated with your family in Google Family Link. So one of them is a child that is under 13. Now, when you do create an account for a child under 13, you can do that through the device itself. So as you're setting up a new phone or a new tablet for your child, you can create that account right on the tablet or the phone. As soon as you put in their birthday, or sometimes you just say, I'm creating this account for my child, it is going to make you create a child account that is managed by Google Family Link. You cannot have an under 13 account that is not managed by Google Family Link. So if you try to create an account and you say, I'm creating an account for my child, and you say that that child is over 13, whether it's by putting in a birthday that is over 13, or if you do anything like that, then it's going to say, hey, you can't create this here. You need to go create this elsewhere and then come back and log in. So there are some limitations on these under 13 accounts. One is they have access to a shared calendar. Now you can share that calendar with your family, but I like to have a calendar that is just specifically for that kid. So when they're logged into this shared calendar, your calendar can kind of get all messed up. I have a whole video about how to set up Google Calendar to organize your whole family. I have lots of ideas about different calendars you can create, But one of the things I recommend is to have a Google account for each of your kids that they don't have the password to, even if they're 5, 6, 7, that you only have the password to that account so that you can add calendar items to their calendar, and then it's all separated on your account. But if you create a child who's under 13, they would have no access to your main Google Family calendar. So what you would need to do is create a regular account if you want to manage a calendar like that. But if you're okay with having all of the same calendar, the problem I have with this is when your child is under 13 and you have this shared calendar, then all of the appointments that you have like on your personal calendar, if you want it to show up on your child's phone, then you would have to also add it to this shared calendar. So it kind of gets to be a little bit of a pain, especially if you have more than one child that's under 13. Then you have different appointments on that shared calendar, and it's really hard to see like whose appointment this is because it's shared amongst all of the family members. But on the flip side, if the child is under 13, they cannot remove themselves from the management from Google Family Link. That is one of the plus sides. I've seen a lot of parents kind of lie about their child's birthday so that they appear under 13. I would recommend against that. They are able to remove themselves from Google Family Link after they turn 13. Check out my video all about how that kind of works. But for the most part, in my family, if you remove yourself from Google Family Link or from the family management on your own, then you remove yourself from access to a phone. So make sure that they understand that even after they turn 13, you can still manage their account, but they do have the ability to remove themselves from that management. You will be notified. And if you are notified in our house, that means you get your phone removed as well. The other thing about your Google Family is that you can only have 6 members in your Google Family. So I live in Utah. Most of my friends have 5 or more kids. I only have 2 kids, so it works out just fine for us. If I had a larger family, I would need to probably split up that Google Family into 2 different families because it only is going to allow you to have 6 people. And so if you have 4 kids and then 2 parents, that's all 6. Because if you want to allow your spouse to do the management as well and you do the management, there's 2 right there, and then you only have space for 4 additional people. So hopefully you don't have more than 4 kids. But like I said, a lot of my friends have 5 or more kids, so they would have to work something else out if they need all of the kids in that family account. So we talked about how to set it up if it's an under 13 account, but how do you set it up for an over 13 person? So the problem here, again, it's going to tell you, hey, you're going to need to set this elsewhere. So go ahead and open up a web browser and create a new account for your child who is under 13. Don't worry, you will still be able to manage it, but you just need to create the Google account elsewhere, like on a web browser on your laptop or on your phone. Once you've got the over 13 account set up, then you're going to need to invite them to Google Family Link. Now you can do that through the web. I like to just put everything on the web because sometimes when you're setting it up on the device itself, it gets a little squirrely. So I like to just create the account on the web, then I will log into my Google Family and send an invite to the new Google account that you've just created. So once the invite has been set, they can add themselves to the Google Family Link account, and then after you've got it all managed through Google Family Link, then you're going to go back to the device and sign into the device with that newly created Google account that is now in your Google Family. What it's going to make you do is install Google Family Link, the management software, on the device because it checks in and sees, okay, this account is managed by Google Family Link. I'm just going to start shortening it to GFL because I feel like I've already said it maybe about 30 times. We should start a counter in this video. Anyway, once the account is in GFL, then it will automatically understand that it needs to have the management software installed on the phone too. When you have a Google Family Link account on a device, generally you can deny it from signing into any other Google accounts. So, like I mentioned with the YouTube videos, and you try and switch to a different account in the YouTube app, then it's not going to let you do that because it's managed by Google Family Link and it knows that you can't switch. That's a good thing about managing the device through Google Family Link. Say you allow YouTube on an iPhone, you don't have the ability for them to not switch their account. Kind of a double negative, sorry. So once you're signed in to this Google Family Link account, I said I was going to start shortening it to GFL, but I just can't do it. I don't know why. But once you're signed in, a lot of kids, especially older kids, will also have a school account that they want to sign into on the phone. You can allow them to sign into the school account through GFL, and then the school would manage that account. But you would have no management over that particular account. But once they're signed into both the school account and the regular account, you can prevent them from signing into any other accounts. So what are the things that you can manage through GFL? Well, let's dig right into the app itself and go through a lot of the settings that you can do. So when you open up Google Family Link, you will see kind of a dashboard of a particular child. You can switch children by tapping the top left corner and selecting the child that you want to manage. If you tap on account settings, it's going to show you a whole bunch of different things about the account, and you can prevent them from linking their Google account to third-party apps. This is like when you're signing into a fast food app on your phone and it asks you if you want to sign in with Google. If you have this disabled, then they are not able to use that Google account to sign into any third-party apps. Or you can have it ask you anytime they do want to do that, because sometimes it is just easier. So if you want to allow that, but you want to be notified that they are creating an account through a third-party app, then you can select this and allow them to sign in, but notify you or ask you if they're allowed to do that. If you do enable this, it will likely have you put in your username and password on their device. So make sure that when they are trying to sign up for something that you are nearby. So you can also select this data settings, and it basically says kind of what type of data it's going to store, like web and app activity. So you can see what kind of YouTube videos they're watching or websites they are going to. So is it going to record all of this data? It's also going to store that data for ads and things like that. So you want to check into what kind of data the apps are going to be able to collect about this user. So once all the account settings are set, let's go into different areas. So here we've got Google Play settings. What kind of apps will they be able to see inside of Google Play? Is it going to be E for everyone? We are going to do a whole video about all the different app ratings, but this will allow you to set what kind of ratings of books, movies, anything that they can get through the Google Play Store, what kind of level they're going to be able to see. This is also where you would make sure to approve any app downloads. So if they want to download a new app, it's going to send you a request through your Google Family Link app, and then you can approve it directly from your app, and then they'll be able to install that app. There's also very specific settings for YouTube, and I think this part is really great. If you only want to allow them access to YouTube Kids, you can set that right here. Or you can allow them a little more access and allow the full YouTube app. But there are some settings you can do for the YouTube app as well. So there are 3 settings. It's going to first have the Explore setting. This should have videos that could be right for 9 and older. Now, these ratings are set by YouTube themselves, so they're not always correct. Even YouTube Kids can have concerning content, so you do want to make sure that you are nearby whenever your kid is using YouTube or YouTube Kids. But this is going to weed out a lot of the things that might not be appropriate for somebody who is ages 9 to 13. The next setting would be Explore More, and this is right for kids who are over 13. It's still going to be restricted, but it's going to have a little more options for videos than somebody who is in just the Explore. Finally, we have most of YouTube, and that's going to allow you access to just about all of YouTube. One of the settings that you can set here is hide autoplay. So this isn't going to get them down those YouTube rabbit holes because they're not constantly playing the next video. So if you hide autoplay, they should be able to just go to the videos that they are particularly interested in and then not go on and continue with the autoplay setting. With YouTube Kids, you also have 3 different options. So you can set for really young kids and turn the search off, or you can set it for a little bit older. You can set time limits like bedtime or breaks. It asks you if you want to take a break every 30 minutes, or if you want to have a bedtime so that the YouTube app is disabled after a certain time every night, or just set a time limit to watch YouTube for a set number of hours. The other setting in here that I really like is the ability to basically turn off the Shorts feed. So if you set the Shorts feed to 0 minutes, it's not going to allow them to view any shorts in the YouTube app. Or you can just set a time limit for shorts so that they're not constantly browsing through it. So GFL also allows you to set a safe mode only website list. So they can only access websites that you have manually allowed here, or you can just allow them to browse a little further, but you can block specific websites. This is the setting where you would turn on safe search. Now, safe search again is only what Google deems is safe. So whether or not you think it's appropriate might be up in the air, but what they deem as safe would be available to view. So when you have Safe Search turned on, you can filter out some of Google images or just blur that content. And those settings are available right here through these web browser settings. Finally, we've got app and time limits. So you can set a time limit on a specific app or set a time limit on the entire device itself. One of my favorite things to do though on Google Family Link is just lock the device anytime I want. So if I just press this lock button, it's going to automatically lock out the device and then they won't be able to use it until I unlock it or grant them additional time. So if they use their time up for the day, it's also going to lock the device and say time's up, and then they can request some more time and you can grant that, or you can just leave it locked for the rest of the day. Now, individual devices have their own settings as well. When you go into the device settings for an individual device, you can allow them to use developer mode or install APK files. That's going to help them sideload apps. I would recommend against this unless you really know what your child is doing and you have reached the point where you trust them. You can let them sideload apps. So they could download any kind of app from the internet and load that onto their phone. They wouldn't have to ask permission from Google Family Link if they install that app. So I would leave this unchecked for the most part and leave developer tools off as well. You can also view their activity in these device settings, and that's going to help you see kind of maybe where they're spending too much time and set some time limits there. And this is where you would set it up so that they can't add additional Google accounts or users on the device. And you can disable their access to the time settings in the settings of their device. So I have a video about how kids get around parental controls, and one of the basic things that they do is to change the time on their phone so that they no longer have a time limit, or if it's something that they can't use during the night, then maybe they can use it because they've changed the time limit. So let's say their phone is going to shut off at 7 p.m. Well, they change the time back to 6 p.m. when it's getting close to 7, and now they have access to their phone still. So you can disable their ability to change the time in the settings of their device. That's kind of some of the settings that you can use with GFL. It is very robust, has a lot of options. I recommend just playing around with the different options and seeing what is right for your family. And we will see you in the next one.